to stabilize, let's enter into a grounding practice. Whew. All right. I'm talking to you like I'm talking to me. um, you can keep your eyes closed or you can keep them open. I am feeling called to keep mine open, to look at the trees and the sky and wonder why I'm here. I simply appeared, channeling an old poem of mine called The Beauty That Is Around Me. And let's see if I can, I'll just do this. Like, see the palm trees behind me? Ugh, palm trees, palm trees. Anyways, okay, we're returning back to ground. Oh man. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths. Again. Last time. Welcome to Module 8. We have arrived at the end of this certification, or perhaps more accurately, we have arrived at a threshold. Because death work is not something we finish learning, it is something we continue to practice for the rest of our lives. That can feel difficult to receive. That we get to improve and grow and learn and become better versions of ourselves every day. Throughout this course, we have explored death literacy, the body at the end of life, as well as nervous system regulation, spiritual care, family systems, grief, ethics, and sustainability. We've talked about ancestors, we've talked about silence, we've talked about presence. On here today is about integration. Not performance, not mastery, not anything but integration. And not integrating, a life of all of maybe doing things not in the way that we would have wanted them to be done. I hope that makes sense. We're just simply integrating what we were able to process in this time. And sometimes it takes multiple repetitions. Sometimes it takes listening to this course over and over and over again. And that's okay. It's more than okay. Part 1. There is no perfect death doula. You can release perfectionism. I don't know if you've been working on that prior to finding this course, but that is something I personally have been working on releasing even up to today. And it's really a regular practice. There is no perfect death doula. There is no end-of-life specialist. There's no perfect healer. There's no perfect caregiver. And there's no perfect practitioner. So you can just, sorry to burst your bubble. Forget about that right now. There are only people who continue to do the work to return to humility and honesty and care. If you leave this course believing you must always, know what to do, then I have failed you. If you leave this course understanding that presence matters more than perfection, then we've done some good work together. I was shuffling earlier, and the card that I pulled was the Strength card. I pulled it in reverse, however. And you see this human with long, luscious hair and a blue, we'll just call it jacket. And they're on a tiger, running through the woods. The moon in the background and the trees and the land supporting them. And the number on the card is 8. Module 8. So strength in reverse. So strength in reverse is, I would call that learning to stop performing strength and what you think or have seen that might look like. As I prepared for this lesson, I pulled 3 cards. And the first card was the Strength in Reverse. And I find it, like I said, very fitting, not only because of the 8, but many people enter caregiving believe that they must always be strong. Strong for their family, strong for their client, strong for the community. But reverse, the Strength card asks us to think about what happens when we stop performing strength. And I don't know if you're a meditator or if you are in a lot of communities and things like that. I am personally tired of hearing and saying performing. It feels weird, right? But if you think about who you are today versus who you were back then, do you feel more natural now in your actions and your movements and your thoughts, or do you feel more natural then? And so that's really where the performing piece comes from. Are you doing it because of some expectation or invisible rule that you put on yourself, or is that how you naturally move? The second question I would ask is, what happens when we allow ourselves to be humans? End-of-life work will touch your grief, and it will touch it often, in addition to your fears and your memories and your unfinished stories. That don't make you weak, though. Okay? Strength card in reverse don't make you weak, homie. It makes you alive. Ethical practitioners are not those who never feel. Ethical practitioners are those who feel and remain grounded. The opposite of overwhelm is not numbness. The opposite of overwhelm is support. I'd like to talk about that for a second because I've had to come to grips with that as well in my healing journey. But support may not be 3D physical support. The most seen and heard and understood that you feel may not be from outside of yourself, another human. For me, it's the connection I have with the divine, with Abasi, with Gaia, with Pachamama. Like it is when I am in the silence and in the quiet and watching the trees and listening to Oya make my wind chimes move. Like that is when I feel the most seen, heard, and understood. Now, that does not mean that when you are in different situations, or right when humans come into contact, that has to change. And like I said, for me, that is very important as a highly sensitive person who mirrors other people's attachment styles, or who can hear their thoughts and their motives and their not necessarily their intentions, but like who can feel what emotions of other people deeply. You may also hear that as an empath. And so the issue is not that gift. The issue becomes when we are unable to clear ourselves from the things that are not ours. And so that's where the support comes in. Like, do you know what you need in the moment to ground yourself and to feel be supported, even when those emotions are coming in laser hot? That's the question. That's the question. I will also be posting plants that I've come into contact with on my healing journey that have helped in some way. And I'll be sharing information about that here at Ufanima Institute. And that is free to all those who subscribe or not. I don't know how the algorithm works. I'm just doing what Spirit told me and getting this information out of my head so I can be lighter. That's, yeah, it's part of the process. Okay, speaking of parts, part 2, practicum reflection. All right. If you've completed a vigil, supported a loved one, or reflected on a case study during this course, I invite you to consider the following things. Numero uno, what surprised you? Dos, what did you learn about yourself? Tres, what did you learn about death? That's not tres. I think we're on cuatro, y'all. Anyways, lastly, what did you learn about your capacity to remain present through the process? Do not focus on what you did. Focus on what you noticed. As an observer. Okay? All right, so the Knight of Staves, got that, and upright. And homie is carrying the flame forward. You see him? You see them? Like, their outfit is like, I really want one of these outfits, not gonna lie. Like, actually, in Nigerian culture, traditional indigenous culture, our outfits are, the shirts are usually long, kind of like he has, and then there's also pants underneath. And I love it. Oh, so comfortable. I actually enjoy that immensely. And you know what? In this moment, I am being reminded that that's my scrubs. Kind of like some of my, anyways. I'm doing it well. Okay. Stop the hijinks. The Knight of Staves, they carry movement and momentum and passion and direction and purpose. I love seeing this card because it reminds us that death work is also life work. Hence the tangent I went on about my scrubs. The people we accompany teach us how to live. They remind us that life is temporary, that time is precious, and that relationships matter. The Knight of Staves asks, what will you do with what you have learned? How will you bring this work to your family, your community, your spiritual practice, your profession? Certification, getting to this end, it's not the end. It's not the destination. It's an invitation to keep doing the work, because a lot of y'all like to read a lot of books and collect books, but y'all don't like to do the work. You know who you are. Part 3, your personal philosophy. Every practitioner eventually develops a philosophy of care. Not because someone gives it to them, because if you notice in this course, I'm not giving you no rules, no regulations, no templates, no nothing. That's for you to figure out and to develop yourself, because every practitioner is different. We shape our experiences. So take a moment to consider, what do you believe about death now? What do you believe about grief? What do you believe about the role of community? What do you believe about ancestors? And what do you believe about presence? Your answers may change. Let them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. King of Swords. In reverse. Check it. Final card I pulled was this King of Reverse. It's not in reverse, it was upright so you can see it, because there's three homies. They walking through the woods, and one of them is real fancy, like got a cape type thing and a hat with a rose and an umbrella on top, and he got two, security looking homies to each side. Like, that must be the king. And together they move. Traditionally, the Knight of Sword represents intellect and authority and knowledge and decision making. Reversed, I hear caution. Be careful not to confuse knowledge with wisdom. I felt that one. That was for me. Yeah, that was for me. Because I am a reforming book nerd who didn't do the work. But that's what integration is about. One of the greatest temptations in caregiving is believing we must have all the answers. We want to be certain, we want explanations, we want understanding, but death is not always understandable. And anyone who tries to understand, more power to you, because what? Some questions remain unanswered and may always be unanswered. Some losses never make any sense, and you may not get closure. And some mysteries, there will always be mysteries. The King of Swords reverse reminds us that wisdom often begins where certainty ends. You do not need to know anything and everything. You do not need to explain everything, and you don't need to solve everything, especially not all at the same time. You simply need to remain available to what is true. So, almost in closing, but part 4, I'm going to share lessons from the Ekbo. And one of the teachings I carry from my maternal Ekbo lineage is that the threshold belongs to no single person. Not a healer, not the family, not the practitioner. We are all guests here. Yes, we chose to be here. And our responsibility is to approach with humility, to witness, to listen, to learn. The threshold teaches all of us eventually. Oof, I hear that. Oof, felt good. All right, so let's reflect. Get your pens and pencils and markers and crochet needle, however you reflect. Let's reflect on these questions. Numero uno. What have I learned about death? Dos. What have I learned about myself? Tres. How will I carry this knowledge forward? Those are your reflection questions. Please do at your leisure. As we've been doing for the last couple modules, we're going to close with our hand on our heart. And I want you to take a slow, deep breath in. And let it out. Life. Someone living or deceased. Someone whose presence continues to guide you. Offer gratitude. Not because everything was perfect, but because relationship leaves an imprint. Repeat silently to yourself. I honor those who came before me. I honor those I will serve. I honor the wisdom I have gained. I honor what I still have to learn. May I walk gently with the living. May I walk gently with the dying. May I walk gently with myself. Take one final deep breath in. Release. Thank you for trusting me to walk alongside you this course. My hope is not that you leave here with certainty. My hope is that you leave here with greater capacity for presence, greater reverence for life, greater compassion for grief, and greater. Death is not the opposite of life. Death is one of life's great teachers. The goal of this work is not to become fearless. The goal is to become present enough that fear no longer prevents us from loving. By yours truly. Peace.